Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Nxumalo. This morning I want to look at the Section 174 application that Advocate Nxumalo is supposed to make before the Pretoria High Court this morning. Advocate Nxumalo represents Mthokoziseni Maphisa. Let me just sketch for you how that application is likely to go and what sort of evidence has been led by the prosecution regarding Maphisa. Maphisa is probably the best placed person, to leave that courtroom a free man. Because let me just indicate to you that, it was just only 2020, just like the rest of the accused, that Maphisa was arrested. Let us start with the people in the house. None of the people in the house have spoken or even attempted to describe Maphisa. They have said nothing about him. So that there is no eyewitness evidence coming out of the 7 people who were in the house. There is no DNA evidence linking Maphisa with the commission of this crime at all. If you go a little bit further, you'll also see that the only evidence that the prosecution has sought to link Maphisa with the commission of this crime is the confession allegedly made by Bongani Ntanzi in 2020, shortly after his arrest. That confession by Ntanzi triggered the trial within a trial that we had. And the court ruled at the end of the trial within a trial that such evidence was admissible. Now, the only possible way in which Prosecutor Baloyi is trying to link Maphisa with the rest of the accused is through that disputed confession. Ntanzi clearly says that he was tortured by the police, severely tortured by the police, suffocated with a plastic over his head, and made to sign a document he did not understand. That is the only thin strand of evidence that the prosecution has against Maphisa. There's also the evidence of the cell phone towers, and that evidence seeks to link Maphisa to the other accused by way of conversations being picked up by cell phone towers. But that in itself is very, very flimsy evidence, for a charge of murder and the other charges that Maphisa faces. So the evidence against Maphisa is non-existent, and he probably stands a very good chance to be found not guilty at this stage of the trial. Because you see, the evidence against Maphisa must be such that it is evidence on which a reasonable court will convict. Now, for argument's sake, let us say that the court was to find that Maphisa at this stage, because at this stage the court is not going to find him guilty. All the court has to do is to consider that application for discharge, and if it rejects that application for discharge, then indicate that Maphisa has a case to answer, which will warrant him appearing in the witness box to take the stand to clear up some of the allegations that have been made by the prosecution, which sort of implicate him in the commission of this crime. But then when you look at the evidence in its totality, there is really nothing that links Maphisa to the killing of Senzo MEYIWA, such that Maphisa would find it, incumbent upon him to come before that court to clear up. Because that confession by Ntanzi is disputed. And even Tanzi made that confession is not necessarily admissible against Mthokoziseni Maphisa. It is admissible at best against the maker of that confession. If it was ever made, that is. Because remember, Ntanzi is disputing that confession in its totality. So that if the starting point is Ntanzi's denial that he ever made a confession, right? How then does a disputed confession, right, by the maker, if the maker disputes the confession, how then does that disputed confession, constitute evidence that can link Mthokoziseni Maphisa by way of common purpose with the other accused? It just does not work out. So, excuse me. So come tomorrow morning, Advocate Nxumalo should not have a very difficult task convincing the court that Mthokoziseni Maphisa has got no case to answer based on the fact, on the flimsiness of the evidence that we have seen the prosecution bring before the Pretoria High Court. It will be interesting to see what then happens to the other accused persons. Because you see, here Maphisa will be saying will be going this route on his own. We have seen how, for instance, Advocate Nxumalo has indicated to the court that she will not be bringing an application of this nature. We have also seen how Advocate Munisi, I think Attorney Ramosepili also, will not be proceeding with this kind of application for different reasons from that of Advocate Nxumalo, because Munisi's problem was, that dispute that he had with legal aid and the logistics of how he's going to get paid. So at the end of the day, Munisi decided that it will not be, feasible for him to go ahead with this application. So Munisi, from that, one can deduce that Munisi was, intending to bring an application. But unfortunately, because of the terms that legal aid put before him, which he found unacceptable, he will not go ahead with this application. But Maphisa stands a very good chance, and I have all confidence in, Advocate Nxumalo to make a very, spirited, application tomorrow that will, one way or another, have some impact on Judge Ratamokgatli. And it will remain to be seen from, how the prosecution, because the prosecution will then be enjoined to reply, but they will then have to reply and try and, show that there is indeed a case to answer for Mthokoziseni Maphisa. But those two pieces of evidence, that is the Ntanzi's confession and, that cell phone, those cell phone tower, that cell phone tower evidence as indicative of the fact that there was some kind of communication between the accused persons, surely one cannot be expected to come forward, right, to come and, clear up his name along those lines, because, that mere communication, even if it took place, because this is communication which is supposed to have taken place prior and after the killing of Senzo MEYIWA. That communication itself does not even disclose, right, the planning of the murder of Senzo MEYIWA relating to those messages or the conversations that he probably had with the other accused persons prior. He did not plan it, and even afterwards, there does not seem to be any, evidence that sort of links him with the commission of this crime. So it is a very flimsy case that the prosecution has against Maphisa. But let us wait and see how things shape up this morning. And in a later edition of the Daily Fix, I'll be bringing you an update of the day's proceedings. Having said that, let me thank you for watching this video. Let me thank you for all the subscriptions and the likes that I'm seeing Please continue to support this initiative and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.